Well, I think that's a matter for the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, and I don't think I should express a particular view on that. But look,
Why?
on
Sorry,
the
Mel. Sorry,
well,
Mel.
I
It's
think
coming to Friday morning. Yes or no? Come on.
well, no, because I think there will be many people they will be considering, probably many people that you and I probably don't know a great deal about, but may have done some extraordinary things to promote peace. And I think, therefore, it needs to be a considered decision rather than me coming onto your program saying it should definitely be one person rather than another. But let's see what happens. But look, on the issue of peace, this is fantastic news that we've seen this progress. Hopefully, now very shortly, seeing the Israeli hostages released, humanitarian aid stepping up into Gaza, which is very much needed. But at the same time, of course, it's a long way to the point where Hamas are fully disarmed and we get on that road to an interim governance and finally towards a two-state solution. But let's keep our fingers crossed. This is very good recent news on this.
Mel, I hope you've recovered from the Conservative Party conference earlier this week. And of course, your leader, Kemi Badenoch, proposed an abolition to stamp duty on primary residence purchased in England and Northern Ireland, expected to cost around £9 billion. How would you pay for that?
OK, so I set out in my speech on the Monday the savings that we will be making if we were in government, and that totals some 47 billion pounds. And that includes principally welfare savings to that bill, but also savings on bringing down the size of the civil service to the size it was back pre-COVID in 2016, and various other measures as well. So £47 billion worth of savings. And we set out a very clear golden rule here, which is with those savings, at least half of that money should be used to pay down the debt because we are living beyond our means. So a very prudent approach to this. But with the other half, that does give us the scope to start cutting taxes, particularly in areas that will help grow the economy.
We have the Prime Minister out in India at the moment, and they have huge pictures hanging from the lampposts and stuck up on the walls of Keir Starmer. It's quite incredible. Why is he more popular abroad than he is in the UK?
Well, because he's taking all the wrong choices in the UK. So if you stick with the economy for a minute, we had a government that came into office saying it was all about growth and they weren't going to be putting up people's taxes left, right and centre. And they've done all the wrong things. So slapped huge taxes on businesses, talked the economy down, borrowed a lot of money, spent a lot of money, which has stoked up inflation. We've got one of the highest inflation rates amongst similar economies, and that's kept interest rates higher and for longer than would otherwise have been the case, and a national debt and a deficit that are going, are deeply, deeply damaging as they rise. And we're going now into a budget at the end of November in which we know pretty much there are going to be tax increases. We don't know exactly which ones, but great uncertainty and an economy that's suffering great damage. And really, I think that's in large part the answer to your question.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Mel, you've accused Nigel Farage, leader of Reform UK, of coming up with policies written on the back of a fag packet, as you would say. But of course, the fact of the matter is they are way ahead of the Conservatives in the polls. If the election was tomorrow, you know, a lot of people would be voting for Reform UK.
So, well, the point is, I guess, that the election isn't tomorrow. It'll be probably in around 4 years' time. Look, the point about the Reform Party is that they make all these claims, all these wonderful things they're going to do, which tend to unravel fairly quickly. On the economic side, they're not demonstrating the kind of thing that I've just described that we've set out, which is that they will have fully funded approaches to cutting taxes. So they say they'll take everybody up to £20,000 worth of income out of income tax altogether. The IFS says that could cost up to £80 billion, which is about half what we spend on the National Health Service with its 1.5 million employees every year. Colossal amount of money. And it's simply not good enough to go out there and promise that kind of thing without clearly demonstrating how you're going to pay for it. Because if you don't pay for it, and you don't have a plan that's fully funded, then of course the economy ends up in a very dark place indeed.
Mel, can we move you on to the other story that's been making the front pages this week, the Chinese spy scandal, the collapse of that trial? Many people are saying this could be Keir Starmer's downfall, and let's face it, there has been a lot of controversy, pretty much a full sort of like one a month we've had with the Labour government. How damaging is this collapse of the trial to the Labour Party and to Keir Starmer personally?
Well, look, Keir Starmer and the Labour Party came into the last election saying that they were going to clean up politics. It was all going to be about integrity and transparency. And with this issue and a number of others that we've seen over the last year, it's the complete opposite of that. Now, with this Chinese spy situation, the CPS dropped the case. And it appears that they dropped the case because the government was not prepared to designate China as a clear threat and in a way that would have allowed that trial to have moved forward. And it also appears that there is a dossier of evidence against China, which was withheld from the CPS as well. Now, we don't know all the ins and outs of that, but the answer to this is to hold Keir Starmer to what he said before, which is that integrity matters and that transparency matters. So we should see the government answering these questions. We should see people like Jonathan Powell, the security advisor, national security advisor, appearing before Parliament, before a select committee, maybe the security committee, to answer the deep and serious questions that this whole incident raises.
Mel, you talk about trust and integrity there when it comes to the Labour government. Of course, there was a lot of issues when it came to trust and integrity of the previous Conservative government. And I think the opinion polls would suggest that a lot of people in this country have lost trust with the Conservative Party. How are you planning to rebuild that trust? How can you prove and demonstrate to our viewers and listeners that the Tory party can be trusted again?
Well, I think the first thing is we do need to be an effective opposition. I think we've demonstrated that day in, day out over the period of this government, and we're now discussing the Chinese spy situation. There's Peter Mandelson, resignation. There's Angela Rayner. There's holding into account the economy, failure to stop the illegal crossings across the Channel and so on. But I think, secondly, we have got to set out, after some serious thinking, solutions to the serious challenges that our country has. And you saw that at conference. So I didn't just stand up and start talking about lots of giveaways and so on. I set out a serious case for paying down the debt, getting on top of the economic challenges that we have going forward, but at the same time demonstrated to people that if you do that serious thought and you have a serious plan for the economy, you can do things like reduce taxes quite dramatically. Amongst the other taxes that we reduced is an abolition of business rates for all shops and pubs in our high streets. That's 250,000 businesses that would be paying no rates at all under a future Conservative government. Now, they're the sort of things that can turbocharge the economy. So I think the answer to your question is it will take time. Of course it will. But we are well down the path now of demonstrating effective opposition at the same time as demonstrating we have a very clear, well thought through plan to address the challenges that we face.
Mel, just one very quick question for you. You illustrated several examples there of our Prime Minister demonstrating a very clear and potentially dangerous lack of judgment. Do you think he should consider his position?
Well, frankly, do you know what, when people ask me this question, and frequently they're asking me questions about various members of the cabinet, actually, including the Chancellor, my response is always the same, which is I think they should all go. I think they are really destroying our economy. They're making life extremely difficult for millions of people. They're destroying businesses. They're not stopping the small boats coming. So, one begins to wonder what this government is for. But, we are going to be stuck with them, I'm afraid, for some time. But we as a Conservative Party have got to show that we are the serious grown-up alternative to that.